beloved. So this is the Bible study for April the 26th, Sunday. And the first book is Revelation. Then I will stop this video and go to another one, which will be Judges chapter 6. So Revelation is the vision about a corrupt world system. It describes a figurative person called the great prostitute sitting on a scarlet beast, symbolizing decadence and idolatry, and it's a metaphor for political or economic powers in opposition to God. It is referenced as the Roman or the Babylonian oppression that is decadent and idolatrous power that's against God, but is not a real political place in the sense of you can pin one place down, because you're talking about a whole world system by this time. Okay, and we're seeing it right now. And how we can relate to this is it causes us to stay grounded in faith and integrity, even when surrounded by these great and intense influences. Okay. So let's get started. Revelation 17. Babylon, the prostitute of the beast. One of the 7 angels who had the 7 bowls came and said to me, "Come, I will show you the punishment of the great prostitute who sits by many waters. With her, the kings of the earth committed adultery, and then the inhabitants of the earth were intoxicated with the wine of her adulteries," which is all this world system. And so many people will be led astray, like that scripture in the Bible that says it'll be 2 in the field and 1 will be taken away. It's not about heaven, that 1 taken away, and then mindset taken away from God and everything relating to God, and going into this world system and being a part of this world system in mind and in action. All right, verse 3. Then the angel carried me away in the spirit into a wilderness. There I saw a woman sitting on a scarlet beast that was covered with blasphemous names and had 7 heads and 10 horns. The woman was dressed in purple and scarlet and was glittering with gold, precious stones, and pearls. She held a golden cup in her hand, filled with abominable things and the filth of her adulteries. The name written on her forehead was a mystery: Babylon the Great, the mother of prostitutes and of the abominations of the earth. So who is this person? It's not technically a person. It's symbolic of a system that seduces people away from God and the faith. I saw that the woman was drunk with blood of God's holy people, the blood of those who bore testimony to Yeshua Jesus. When I saw her, I was greatly astonished. Then the angel said to me, "Why are you astonished? I will explain to you the mystery of the woman and of the beast she rides, which has the 7 heads and 10 horns. The beast which you saw once was, now is not, and yet will come up out of the abyss and go to its destruction." So these 10 kings, they also are, like, in the beginning, all of them will be an alliance of many great rulers or kings and priests, or whatever, not priests, but princes. And at some point, at near the end, it will turn against its own self and bring its downfall, because it is part of God's plan for this corrupt system to end. The inhabitants, let me go back to it. The inhabitants of the earth, whose names, let me go back, I'm sorry. The beast which you saw once was, and now is not, and yet will come up out of the abyss and go to its destruction. The inhabitants of the earth, whose names have not been written in the book of life from the creation of the world, will be astonished when they see the beast, because it once was, now is not, and yet will come. This calls for a mind with wisdom. The 7 heads are 7 hills on which the woman sits, which are, again, they are the kings or political systems of corruption. They are also 7 kings. 5 have fallen. 1 is, the other has not yet come. But when he does come, he must remain for only a little while. The beast who once was and now is not is an 8th king, which means it's going to be a revival of some ancient world system. He belongs to the 7 and is going to his destruction. The 10 horns you saw are 10 kings who have not yet received a kingdom, but who for 1 hour will receive authority as kings along with the beast. They will have one purpose, and will give their power and authority to the beast. They will wage war against the Lamb, but the Lamb will triumph over them, because he is the Lord of lords and the King of kings, and with him will be his called, chosen, and faithful followers. So this is us going into battle with the Mashiach, or the Messiah. And then the angel said to me, the waters you saw where the prostitute sits are peoples, multitudes, nations, and languages. The beast and the 10 horns, or kings or rulers you saw, will hate the prostitute, or the world system that they even were a part of. This is the interpretation, that they were a part of this, but now they're going to turn against her. They will bring her to ruin and leave her naked. They will eat her flesh and burn her with fire. For God has put it in their hearts to accomplish his purpose by agreeing to hand over to the beast their royal authority until God's words are fulfilled. The woman you saw in the great city that rules over the kings of the earth. Oh, let me read that again. The woman you saw is the great city that rules over the kings of the earth. And this great city, some interpret it as Rome, but again, Revelation is symbolic. So not to really get into where is this place, because it's a calamity of or a coalition of great powers and kings and rulers from all over the world that really join forces to come against God and his kingdom in the earth. And its corrupt powers will be ruined by the 10 horns, or kings, or 10 rulers. So it's like the system is set up, and then it comes against itself, and then it collapses. But it is put in the heart of these kings to destroy essentially themselves in the system. And what's ironic is that God has all these prayers from the saints to help us to change the mind of the people to let this system come down, and he puts it in the hearts of his enemies to destroy themselves, essentially. So when you have an enemy, you should pray and ask God, because one, that person they look like your enemy, but they might be your assignment. They might be your enemy, but God might be using them, like he did with the Israelites, who we are part of, to sharpen them, to bring them back to him. And also the enemy, sometimes people don't even recognize that they are on the wrong side of things. They endlessly have drunk the wine of the great prostitute, because they believe these systems that's up in the earth to be true. And even though it's clear that these systems are against God, somehow some life experiences for them, or the devil essentially putting a veil over their eyes, they find it against God, essentially, by taking part in this world system. The mind is corrupt by the news, by theologies from and when it comes to Revelation, it is almost like a religion and a mindset and theology that sets itself up against God. And you can name all the different things in your mind, and especially those in the news when you see it. But the issue is that, can we talk as followers of Christ? Can we talk to people and try to persuade them against those things? In a way you can, but you got to do it with kid gloves and as a child, very softly, because who will like really hurt a child when they're speaking softly? Most will not, even when they speak truth. Okay, so when it comes down to this corrupt system, you can literally say, well, what do you think about this? Is any of this stuff that you're referencing and talking about, is it following God, or is it taking us away from God? And that's how you can kind of make that conversation. It's not about politicals, Democrats or Republicans, or the right or the left. It's about, can we see in this situation, this system, God? Because we don't need to fight about Republican and Democrat. That is like really essentially, this world system as we know it has already vanished many years ago. We're living here under God's grace and his power. So that is the reason why I always say there's nothing more important than what you do for God, because that's what the Spirit says to say. But also it is true in the sense that all that we know is a facade. So we need to get into the kingdom and run after God with all we have, because we're literally living in the last days. And just like in nowadays, many people say, oh, we heard that so many times. I'm telling you, you need to understand this, because today might be your last day, or it could be in a rapture. Either way, you need to get in line with God, period. All right, may God bless you, and I'll be back on with Judges chapter 6. God bless you. Read the word for yourself.